Welcome everyone to the Equestrians Inner Life podcast. I'm your host Pernille, and today I'm delighted to welcome back equestrian mindset coach, author and educator Tanja Mitton. In our first conversations, Tanja and I explored the powerful relationship between the rider's inner state and what unfolds with the horse. How our thoughts, emotions, beliefs and unconscious patterns influence not only how we ride, but also the partnership we create. Today, we are taking that conversation a step further, with a particular focus on the younger generation of equestrians. Tanja has worked with riders across all levels of the sport, from pony club riders through to elite athletes, helping them develop greater confidence, clarity, self-awareness and understanding of how to use their minds more effectively. So often, we only begin examining our mindset after fear, self-doubt, pressure, or unhelpful patterns have already become deeply established. But what if young riders were given these inner tools from the very beginning? What if they could learn at an early age how to understand their thoughts and emotions, navigate challenges, and build a healthy relationship with success, mistakes, competition, and their horse, without having to unlearn so much later in life? In this conversation, we explore how we can better support young equestrians, not only in becoming capable riders, but in developing the inner foundations that will serve them both in the saddle and throughout their lives. So, Tanja, welcome back.
Beautiful. Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure, Pernille.
That's good. Well, we are going to get straight into the good stuff now. So, Tanja, let's talk a bit about these habitual ways of thinking, and in particular, our past experiences with horses, how they can sort of dominate how we respond even in the present moment. And so often, we don't even recognize this because it simply feels like who we are and how we naturally, will interpret a situation. So we may react with, the tension or the fear, the frustration, without understanding why. And in that way, perhaps we unknowingly contribute to the very dilemma we experience with the horse. It's very sneaky, isn't it? So I was hoping that you could explain how our thoughts and past experience influence our feelings and reactions in the saddle, and what begins to become possible for us when we as riders start to recognize the connection about this.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I love that. I love that topic. And it's quite funny, it's actually quite a timely thing. I've had an article out on Facebook, I think yesterday, and the first opening kind of paragraph was, it's not a training issue, that you experience in the arena. It is a life pattern issue. That is a reoccurring kind of life behavior, life pattern that just plays out in the arena. And our horses, being our mirrors, they often reflect back, very clearly and timely, as in instantly, what they are feeling. And that article, it got so many comments and so many people going, oh yes, I relate to that. And it's it's nice that we get a chance to sort of talk about this now, because yes, as you're saying, it's so much of our focus as riders, as trainers, as coaches is, we naturally, we focus on our horses. We come into the arena yes, with an agenda. We have a training module that we've, developed, or that that we've kind of prepared, and we come in with that agenda of what we want to achieve, what we want to teach our horses, the results that we want to get, the goals that we move towards.
Yes.
What is often kind of, it gets unnoticed is what are our behaviors, our patterns. And you've just referred to that, these are like the old experiences. These become part of our thoughts. These are the reoccurring patterns, the reoccurring thoughts, the reoccurring behaviors that sneakily kind of make their way into our training. They follow us in the arena. We don't just, unless we are very, very conscious and very aware, we don't generally just leave our, let's just call it our self. So it is that behavior that we bring into every day, and it's not just the horses. It's just that often in our horses, we notice it first because of their feedback. Our reoccurring behavior, our reoccurring and consistent patterns, they come with us with everything we do in life. If that is work, if that is, for the younger kids, the younger generation, it's school, it's university. It follows us often in our human relationships, our partners, our friends.
Yeah.
But the beautiful thing with our horses, and this is where the great learning comes, the horses give us the same feedback that we often get from people, but they voice it differently. They also reflect more clearly in the moment, every moment, what they feel, what they sense, like the tension we bring in, maybe the overthinking, maybe the stress from school, maybe the wanting to be a perfectionist and pushing harder and trying harder. Horses also, unlike humans, the moment we change, the moment we take a breath, the moment we catch ourselves and we give a different response, we take the pressure off, we take a breath out, we maybe get still and soften our whole body. Unlike humans who often give us the feedback based on their experience with us, horses give us feedback how it is in the moment. So they also let us know when we relax our body, when we take a breath out, even if we've had tension the last, 10 minutes or the last 10 rides. And I think this is something that, for me as a coach, if that is in the arena or as a mindset coach at the, at the end of a phone, I wanna make riders aware of that. I want, I always sort of look at how do we get better in that self-analysis? How do we get better in that stopping and feeling or leaning into ourselves and going, actually, on first glimpse, my body feels normal, but on second glimpse, I notice tension. Yeah. It's like, on first glimpse, it feels normal because that tension, I carry that with me everywhere. And I don't notice it anymore. And here is a behavior that we bring into the arena. I guarantee you, your horse will notice a tension. And your horse will give you feedback on that tension. So it's our job first, and this is where the learning comes in. It's our job first to notice the tension, even if it's tension we've become so used to. It's our job first to notice our behavior of being a perfectionist, of wanting everything to be perfect and wanting all the results now. This is a big one for kids.
Yes.
It's kind of like this younger generation, they've grown up with instant gratification. You want to, you want to talk to your friends. You pick up your phone, you text them. They don't answer the text. You connect them on Instagram, you message them. Then you pick up the phone, you ring them. Then you go like, hey, why did it take you 2 minutes to ring me back?
Yes. Yeah.
So it gets harder to wait and to assess and to be patient and to make changes. And I think, if we can teach them that, if we can help them navigate that, that would be a great thing.
Okay, Tanja, so tell us, how important is it that young riders learn how their minds work from an early age? What can you tell us about that?
Well, I think the main thing is, we just spoke about patterns and behaviors. And the older we get, the more kind of ingrained and automatic our patterns are. Our behavior that starts out, as teenagers and younger adults, like we change a lot. We practice, if it's with our horses, with our friends, in our environment, we kind of still practice, we adapt, depending on the feedback we get from our environment, from the people around us. We've all had those memories as younger riders, where we rode our horses, we trained in a certain way, we then got feedback, and then we made changes. And the older we get, the more set we become in the behavior, in the changes that we've made already, and it becomes more and more kind of subconscious.
Yeah.
So this is where definitely the more we teach younger people to become aware of all these kind of things that play together, the more they can be, it's like, rather than being unconscious about what we do, if we know, we start to pay attention. We learn to pay attention to the smaller details. Yes. What do I say? What do I do? And how does my horse respond to it? And then we develop not just good training with our horses, but we also develop good training with ourselves. That makes a big difference.
Yes. Yes. So the horse is really playing a big part in our own personal evolution, really, if we pay attention.
It comes back to, I don't know if I particularly like the word because it's a bit overused, but basically it comes back to our own personal development, our personal growth, our better awareness.
Yes.
About ourselves, who we are, what we do, how we respond. Ultimately, it comes back to that. That is what makes us better riders, better horse people, better trainers, better coaches. Our horses are just beautiful mirrors who kind of give us feedback if we ask for it or not.
Yeah, they do seem to continually nudge us in the direction where they want us to become aware, don't they?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about maybe some real life examples you have seen sort of unfold in front of you when you work with the younger equestrians. Like, do they understand sort of very quickly what you're explaining to them about what we're just talking about? You know what I mean?
Look, I'll give you one example that I've experienced, and obviously, for confidentiality, we're not going to name names or anything. But something that happened with that particular rider, and I've seen it in so many other riders, younger and older riders. So in that particular incident, it was a rider she was very successful. She competed at a national level. She was always, very diligent, in her training, she showed up, she put in, 100%. She did, everything right. And I remember we were at nationals and we had a training camp, a squad camp leading up to the national championships. It goes back quite a few years now. Yeah. And in that squad camp throughout the week, I had multiple mindset sessions with riders, but also with the younger riders, I brought the parents in. So with this particular rider, I started noticing as we were talking in different sessions, her language changed from the competitions that were kind of smaller competitions to the bigger competitions. So what I mean with that, when I asked her about, some of the not so important competitions, the local events, the smaller classes, her whole demeanor and her language was, and I'm using that word sort of specifically now, it was more dismissive, but dismissive for her meant that she didn't put 150% attention to it, but just 100%. She was like, it was just a smaller competition. It was just one of the younger horses. I just went in and I just had fun. And I went like, okay, so how were the results? And she was like, the horses were amazing. The results were consistent. I'm always scoring above 75%. And I went like, okay. And I just paid attention. And then as we were talking about nationals and selection and the bigger classes, the ones that count, her language and her whole demeanor changed. And she was like, I'm really prepared. I've been training. Like I'm so focused, like I'm getting up in the morning, I've got my plan, I've got this, I've got that, like I'm all over it, like, this is important, I really, really want this. Very different language to, nah. Yeah. And I could see it in her body. So what I did, and this is maybe a bit unorthodox, but, particularly for our younger riders, our parents, even the older riders, really hear me on that. Pay attention to that, because what we did, I said to her, so hypothetically, let's just purely hypothetically, pretend we are at a smaller competition right now. We're just like half an hour from your place at home. It's just a little country comp, a riding club has put on a competition. You're still on your good horse, but you're just going out for an outing. What would you do different? And she came up with a whole heap of things. Yeah. Now, this particular rider, I knew that she was always training. She was always focused. She was always dedicated. She simply did too much when it counted, and her body told the story. So then I kind of, being the observer, I could see these things. And then I started telling her, and I started putting it all out in front of her and went like, can you see now? These are the differences. And she was like, yeah, wow, this makes sense. So we changed the language. I said to her, so every time I see you, we're going to have this chat about, it's just nationals. It's just another comp. I can have a bit of a lie-in tomorrow morning. Yeah. And I sat her mum down and I told her that. And she was like, we spend a lot of money being here. We've just traveled like 5 hours. Like, she's been working towards this for such a long time. Like, this is important. And I had to say to her, yes, However, when something is important to her, her body tenses up. When something is important to her, she puts too much focus in. It creates tension, it creates a block. And we see it in the results of her horse. So we literally, for an entire week before the first class started, we walked around and I'd be like, how are you today? It's just nationals. The sun is shining. Let's sit down and have a coffee. And she went out. That became her new, it's not a training strategy, but it became a behavior strategy. Her mom's job was to walk around, to get up in the morning going, it's a nice day. Let's just relax. Isn't that a beautiful venue? We're just here. It's just another comp. It felt so wrong to both of them. Every now and then they were like, should we be doing this? Because this is nationals. And I'm like, that's exactly why we do it. Then I brought the coaches in. They adapted the same language. She went out. She had her best nationals that year. It wasn't a training issue.
No.
And this is where we have to look at the individual riders. You know, if I've got a kid or an adult rider, whoever, you know, if I've got a rider who is already laid back, that's the last thing I would say to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? But to her, we had to bring it down. So we always have to have a look. Under what circumstances do we perform the best?
Yes.
And it's not about, you know, are we at nationals now? Are we at a certain competition? What are our goals? You know, we just need to look at the individuals. Under what circumstances do we perform and give our best? And ultimately, the only one who gives feedback on that is the horse.
Yes.
Okay.
Very clear. Yes.
Because we bring kind of our head into it. So the ultimate feedback always comes from your horse. Your horse will show you, will tell you, will remind you when you are at your best. And for this particular girl, it felt like she switched off. She didn't put, you know, much emphasis on it. But that allowed, that mindset changed her body.
Yes.
For other riders, it might be the exact opposite.
Yes.
They may have naturally a more lower, if they don't believe in themselves much, then they may back off and they do less and they bring their energy too far down, and then everything kind of just loses kind of the effectiveness. So then we find out in what area of their life, in what moments, this again, we step out of the actual horse environment. You know, like I've sometimes sat down with kids and go like, talk to me about school. Tell me about exams. Tell me about your relationship with your friends and your teachers.
Yeah.
And then I just pay attention to it. And they might then sort of go like, well, before an exam, you know, I always know that I do well. So I just have a sleep in, or I just, you know, study really hard the last 5 minutes before I go in, or I just chill out and talk to my friends, and that just, you know, helps to distract me. Or they might say, I don't talk to my friends at all. I need to be by myself. And as soon as I have found a formula of success, if that strategy leads to a positive outcome, if that's in the classroom, if that's in the workplace, if that is in a relationship, we have a formula. And then We bring that into the arena, into the riding, into the training.
Yeah.
And then we ask the horse ultimately for feedback.
Yeah.
And if all falls into line and it gives us what we want, then we now have a new formula to success in the arena. And sometimes it's a bit unorthodox.
Yeah. How much, what sort of role do you find that with the young riders, the parents play in that whole competition sense?
The short answer is a huge role, particularly the parents who are involved who come to the competitions, which for a lot of young riders, the parents are the drivers. They're the owner, the funder,
Yes.
So they are part of it. Again, this is one of the things I talk a lot about when I coach young riders or when I talk to parents, is our own individual motivation modality. So what I mean with that is we have ways to motivate ourselves. It's not just motivation, but also just how to deal with life's curveballs. So some people, they thrive on having a supportive environment. They thrive on having someone telling them they're doing a great job. They thrive on being in a safe environment, feeling safe with the people that are around them. And that safety helps them then to make good decisions, to try harder, to come back after a setback.
Yeah.
That's one modality. The other one is kind of the back against the wall, the people who come, guns blazing when they get pushed into a corner. The ones that thrive under pressure. The ones that if they are told that they can't succeed, that this is too big, that, that they are not going to make the team, that they don't have what it takes. The ones that go like, I show you. Yeah. That's a different modality again. Those two often clash in families, particularly with parents and kids. And I've experienced that with my own kids, and I've seen it in so many families. Because what happens when, in that scenario of going to competitions, as parents, we want to support our kids. As riders, we are looking for our support team to kind of be there and help and facilitate. When there's two different languages going on, there's a conflict.
Yes.
So sometimes, the parent might be the really supportive one and going, hey, I'm here, let's just enjoy this. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about what the score is. You are here, you are learning, you are awesome, I believe in you, and just enjoy. Just give your best, and then whatever that is, it'll be great. That's an amazing language for someone else who feels safe when they have support. It absolutely pisses you off when you are the one who thrives on being in the, pushed into the corner. And this is what we then often see, the kids are just retaliating against their parents. Go like, don't talk to me like that. You have no idea, rah, rah, rah. What they're saying is, I don't feel motivated. I don't feel supported in that way. It doesn't work for me. You speak a different language.
Yeah.
When the coach comes in then and goes like, hey, cut this out. This is what we do. If you don't perform, if you don't pull yourself together, you are off the team. They go like, oh, I'm paying attention.
Yeah.
If that same coach uses that same language on a rider who needs support, they fall apart.
Yeah. Yeah, you really have to have a good feel for what each individual child needs, don't you?
Yeah. And also for parents to know what is their language that they naturally will communicate with others in.
Yeah. Because,
Okay,
yes.
I am naturally that one that works the best if I'm pushed into a corner. Like put my back against the wall, tell me I can't do something, I just step up 3 steps. And I go like, thank you, that's exactly what I needed. Like,
Yeah.
but the problem I've had, particularly like with my own kids who both, well, one is half. She's the younger one, but the older one, 100% feels supported when she feels safe. When people are on her team, when they tell her they believe in her, when she has that, that support, that encouragement, the, hey, I know you're doing well.
Yeah.
We used to clash a lot because as a mom, I just wanted her to do well.
Yeah.
And if I saw that she struggled and her belief started dropping down and she became doubtful in herself, my normal, natural language, here we are back to our behavior. It's not a training issue. It's a life pattern issue.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a life behavior issue. My language then it's like, I weapon up and I go like, right, let's take on the enemy. Do or die. We come out of these trenches, guns blazing.
Yeah.
Works for me. Does not work for her.
Yeah, it's like parents sort of often don't think they're really projecting their own, like you're saying, behaviour patterns straight onto the children, and there's a lot for them to take on. Also having to ride the horse doesn't know who's riding it. Is it the parents or the child? Yeah.
And this is where, like coming back, to the young riders, it's not just training the kids in the arena. We have to look at the entire support team.
Yeah.
And, we have the parents, we have the coaches, we've got the friends, we have the social environment. And it's for kids to learn not only who they are, that's that self-awareness, which is critical, and that's the biggest part, but then also who is in my environment, who speaks my language, who makes me feel not good in terms of, in a way, allows me to be super comfortable. Sometimes when we are a little bit out of our comfort zone, we produce the best because, again, we are stepping out of our patterns.
Yeah.
That girl that I kind of, got to sort of say like, yeah, at nationals, like, just another comp. She felt so uncomfortable because it was so different. It felt uncomfortable in her body. It felt uncomfortable in her mind. Her thoughts reflected that.
So is it almost like that certain thoughts reflects a certain emotion in people's bodies? So that's actually what you're just saying there. Do you know what I mean?
I think the answer to that is that most of our thoughts want to bring us back to a state that is familiar.
Yes.
And I'm saying familiar instead of comfortable or normal, because even the most uncomfortable state, if we spend the majority of time in that uncomfortable state, it's a familiar state.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing with our mind. Anything that is familiar, familiar means we have experience there. We've been there before.
Mm-hmm.
When something is familiar, it automatically becomes predictable. The outcome, what is in front of us, we can predict.
Yeah.
You know, if you have, and this is stepping out of the arena for a moment, if you have a person who has grown up in an abusive home, they are, in a way, comfortable. And just comfortable means familiar. It doesn't mean good. It doesn't mean bad. Comfortable is familiar. They're familiar with that abuse. They know how to deal with the abuse, how to survive the abuse. What comes after the abuse? It's all in their experience. There is records there, so they can prepare for it. They can survive it.
Yeah.
To be then all of a sudden in an environment that is super supportive, that is healthy, that's got a good energy. There is nothing to predict. There is no evidence there. So then it makes people feel uncomfortable. The uncomfortable means I have no way of predicting what is coming.
Yeah.
It's like standing on train tracks being told the train's been diverted. And you go, but
I need to
I
go
can't
there.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. We stay in our familiar patterns. The older we get, the stronger those patterns they are. They're not good. They're not bad. They're not right. They're not wrong. They are familiar. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's where we have so many different patterns throughout different life experiences.
Yeah.
With a lot of adults, when they come to me for riding mindset, I often spend very little time initially talking about their training and their horse and their performance.
Yeah.
I go back and go, tell me about your work. Tell me about your partner. Tell me about your family.
Yeah.
And so often I hear from people, they go, oh, I'm really good at work. I've been doing my job for 10 years, 20 years. I'm so comfortable. I'm like, tell me what happens when you're under pressure. They go, I just deal with it.
Yeah.
I have the experience. I have the know-how. I know who the people are I can call on. I just deal with it. And then I go, okay, tell me about your dressage test. This is really important to me. I want to do well. I've been waiting so many years to finally focus on my horse, go out competing, have a consistent coach. I've got goals. I want to get to those goals. I want to achieve. Two different stories. And then we go like, what's the outcome? What's the outcome at work? Yeah, I wing it. I always get there. I'm predictable. If they get a curveball at work, they're going to go like, yeah, I'll just do something else. I go to plan B and then plan C and plan D because the predictable outcome is I'm successful. Totally different behavior. This is what our kids have to learn. They are starting out creating patterns for life.
Yeah.
Horses are our mirrors.
Yes. How do you start making them more aware? Like, in what directions are you pointing them?
Look, there's different ways. Whenever I get the opportunity to have one-on-one conversations, so if riders come to me and they become part of my coaching program or they have coaching, sessions, I have them one-on-one so we can become very specific to them. So I get them to tell their story, and I listen to it. And I'm the observer, and then I retell the story back to them in different words, in a different way, so that they can start to see the things that I heard. And then we have a starting point.
Yeah.
When I don't get to speak to riders one-on-one, if I address bigger groups, where I generally start is to kind of encourage riders to deepen their relationship with their horse. So in some ways, I take them a little bit out of the competition mindset. And I talk about more of the, let's just spend time with your horse, the old-fashioned, let's go and lie in the paddock. Tell your horse all your secrets, everything that happened at school. Tell them about your problems with your best friend or your parents or your teacher. Because when we open up to the horse, we create a different relationship. We were lucky, like our generation, we spent the time lying in the paddock talking to our horses because we didn't have the distraction of mobile phones and social media.
No, that's true.
Harder for kids now, they go to the horse and they brush their horse and they've got a, music blaring in their ears, or they're still checking, Instagram or Facebook every time someone comments on something they put out. They get alerted, so they never get to just spend time with their horse.
Yeah, they're very distracted. They're not very, it's not very present with the horse, is it?
Yeah. So, but again, the good thing is that, the kids today, the same as the kids back when we were kids, the ones that got into horses, most of them got into horses because they just found something in the actual animal, in the living being that they fell in love with.
Yeah.
And it's also, I find, and look, some people agree with me and some don't. Again, it's not a right or wrong. Like, to me, for kids now, competition has become such a pressure because even at Pony Club, before the little kids, the 6-year-olds even learn to properly canter off lead, they're already going out and jumping fences and going to little competitions.
Yeah.
So there is less time for just sitting in the paddock and telling your horse like your secrets and just synchronizing your heartbeats and breathing together.
Yeah.
We used to sit on them bareback and, snuggle around their neck and just sit there for hours while they were grazing.
Yeah.
These are the things, like, we have to bring in safety, yes, but we also have to bring in connection.
Yes.
And again, this is not a right or wrong, this is just a different approach. I often encourage young riders and the parents of young riders to compete less. Until they really connected with their horses, until they really spend time, until they just play out that love affair with their horse. That has to come first. Then we look at competitions, because competitions is just like having an exam at school. You have a judge, you get a score, you have a pass or a fail, and you have the people around you who check on your score, they compare it with their score, and they see you either as good or not good. You are either in the clan or you are out of the clan.
Yeah.
You are either that kid that everyone wants to talk to, or you are that kid that gets ignored. Kids already face that pressure at school. adults already face that pressure at work.
Yeah.
You know, if we face the same pressure in our riding with our horse, we're just stacking pressure on pressure on pressure. No wonder kids are tense. No wonder mental health is like on the growing upward trend.
Yeah.
We have to get to the point where there is a place where we can just relax and breathe out.
Yeah.
Where we can ride without feeling judged. Where the old standard bred or the old ex-school horse that's upside down and inside out and has a bigger head than everything else and, you know, is no different to the purpose-bred warm blood that just looks amazing and it's got glitter all over it.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, you know, if the way the horse looks and the breeding the horse has and the performance the horse has, if that makes a rider feel like, oh, I'm good enough and I'm accepted or not, then what happens next time they look in the mirror? Oh, my nose is a little bit big. Oh, my eyes are a little bit uneven. You know, am I the flashy warm blood? Or am I the standard bred whose head is a little bit too big? And then it becomes us as well.
Shouldn't be about all that.
No. And we have to encourage that. I think we have to just, you know, there's a place for competing and for having goals and for succeeding and feeling good about yourself when you grow and when you know, get better and when you smash goals. And there's a place for it, 100%. But we have to be careful for each and individual. When is that place? When do we start that journey? And how do we balance it out?
Yeah. Another thing that is interesting, because that is something you become very aware of as you become older, is very much your own thought patterns and how, you know, that affects the ride. How do you start to sort of make young, you know, like where you're talking about all the younger ones, really aware of the way so they can pay attention to the repeating thoughts that they have when they're on the horse, thoughts that, you know, may not, again, bring them what they were after, so they can pick themselves up and go, oh, that's right, that doesn't lead me, they're the thoughts that don't lead me to where I want to go. So they can already sort of become quite aware of that in themselves from a young age, because that's a really big thing as well, you know, to sort of, observe that within yourself. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that?
Look, the thought patterns, so there's kind of two ways to approach that. Mm-hmm. A lot of our thoughts are unconscious, repetitive thoughts. Mm-hmm. So to change an unconscious, repetitive thought is a difficult thing because it is unconscious and it is repetitive. Yeah. Like even when you do something, you know, when you drive a car, when you sit in class and you listen to the teacher, you still have thoughts while you're doing something else. So it's like it plays in the background. Can we just take that record out and replace it with another one? I wish. It's not that simple.
No.
Where we start is a conscious refocusing. So what that means is we have to make time to be conscious. So when we're driving the car, when we're racing around, when we get ready to go to the horse, when we are on the horse and we are in a lesson, we're not conscious as such because we're distracted with other things. We're multitasking. And so the record that is playing is playing. Yeah. But what happens when we create some space to be conscious? The first thing is we're not multitasking. We become present. We're focusing on a single task.
Yes.
So that can be the first moment in the morning when you first get out of bed, or even when you're still in bed. Taking a moment, and a moment can literally be 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes maybe, of becoming conscious. So the consciousness then might look ahead of the day, and we start to say to ourselves, I'm having a great day today. I am focusing on the good things. I give some gratitude. I remind myself to breathe out. It's a good day to be alive. We find something to kind of start a programming. Now, is that thought going to just stay there throughout the day while we get distracted and multitask? No, of course it won't. But it's a beginning. And then what we can do is throughout the day also put in those conscious moments. When I stand at my coffee machine and I wait for the coffee to come through, I take a conscious breath out and I go, I love that smell of coffee. I'm relaxing. I'm so grateful for that coffee right now. Life is good. It's a good day to be alive. And I can do the same when I get my horse ready. Instead of being on autopilot and distracted by listening to music or chatting to someone else while I grab my grooming kit and then the saddle and everything is just, so automatic, I don't have to think about it. I might just stand there and I put my hand on the horse's neck and I look in their eyes and I say to them, how do you feel? Let me tell you about my day. How was your day?
Yeah.
How are you responding when I take a breath out? How is my body responding when I take a breath out? What ride are we going to have today? And sometimes then I might say, look, I've had a pretty rough day. Can we just go for a walk? Can I just breathe out? Can you just give me a moment to become present in here right now?
Yeah.
And then we have a deliberate warm-up, not a warm-up that's focused on the horse's body and the horse's training and the movement we want to ride in this session, but a warm-up that is reflective of the day we had and the time or the moments, the actions we need to actually become present in the arena. So how do we change those thoughts? We bring in conscious moments throughout the day where we stop, where we pause, where we either say something, so we have a different thought, we do something, we take a breath out, we shake our body, we jump up and down.
Yes.
A restart of the nervous system. We sit still. We have a 5-minute meditation. Like whatever it is that the individual needs that feels right for them. The more conscious moments we bring in through our day and throughout our ride, the more the subconscious and unconscious thought and behavior gets disrupted.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I often say to people, like, imagine or remember, depending what, you're sitting on the couch and you're watching a really scary horror movie. After the first sort of like 10, 15 minutes, there's a reoccurring sound, which is often music. There is a reoccurring kind of pattern that leads you into something scary is happening. Or it gets your body really kind of aroused of like, oh, this anticipation, what is happening? And halfway through the movie, your body just gets into this state of arousal and tension quicker and quicker because you know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the end of the movie, you turn it off and you walk around the house and that arousal stays with you. And you hear a sound outside and your body responds completely different to it. But what happens if you watch the same movie, you sit on the same couch, but every 5 or 10 minutes you press the pause button on your remote. And then you get up and you walk in the kitchen and you grab a snack. And then you come back down and you press the play. And you watch for a bit and you press the pause. And you go in the kitchen, you grab a drink. You interrupt the pattern of the movie that is training your nervous system to be in that state of tension and arousal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And the same movie has a different impact on you. And this is what we do with creating pause moments, pause button moments throughout the day, where we then stop, we breathe out.
Yes.
We touch something, we jump, we say something. And then the tension, the overthinking, the worry, it's not fixed, it doesn't go away, but is interrupted. And if we do that regularly and consistently over a longer period of time, that old behavior that was there doesn't get as much energy. It doesn't get fed as much. It loses some of its power. It becomes less.
Yeah, that's a good one. To sort of round off the conversation, what sort of, again, you have given lots of good pointers here, but what would be a few little sort of steps young equestrians could really start, well, really for all of us, but let's sort of focus on the young ones to start really noticing about themselves when they are with their horse and riding?
Look, the first one I would say is pay more attention to your horse and the feedback your horse gives you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a big one. You know, horses give a ton of feedback. Unfortunately, most of the time, and quite often, some of the feedback is not necessarily what we want to hear. But let's start by hearing and paying attention to all of it.
Yes.
Okay, if you ride, you put your leg on and your horse jams on the brakes instead of going forward, that is feedback.
Yeah.
Do I like that behavior? No.
Mm-hmm.
But if I listen to it and I go, oh, interesting, thank you for telling me what is happening. I find my butt cheeks have tensed. I find my tension in my body.
Mm-hmm.
I find I have contributed to that brace in the horse.
Yeah.
And so I've learned something.
That's a good point.
And then I can breathe out. Yeah. I can release some tension. I can pat my horse on the back and say, thank you for letting me know. I didn't notice. Let's try that again.
Yeah.
How can I put my leg on without being tense throughout the body?
Yeah.
How can I think about a nice, easy, enjoyable ride, a forward horse? Is that what my focus is? Is that my expectation that I get? Or am I stuck on the last lesson that I had where things just went pear-shaped and I didn't do well and I beat myself up? Because right now I'm just creating that same ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen to the horse, not just the things that you want to hear, not just the compliments. We have to listen to all of it.
Yeah. Yes, that's a very good one. Thank you, Tanja, for that one. Now, just before we leave, can you just tell everyone about your program that you've got going, and maybe just let them know where they can come in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's two things that I'm super passionate that I'm just going to spend a minute just letting people know because they're new programs. One thing I'm working on at the moment, and this I think will work really well for the younger kids and the teenagers and the younger adults.
Yep.
AI is something that has come into our world. And one of the things that I've developed is it's called a GPT. So it is like a version of what we all know as a chat GPT.
Yeah.
But I have given it information. I have put all my coaching philosophy, my words, my way of thinking, my way of coaching. A lot of the things we've just talked about, I've kind of put all this information in there. So what it is, the purpose for it is that, I can't walk around and take the phone out of every rider's hands. The phones are glued to us. So I just sort of thought, well, let's use it for something good. So this is going to be a GPT, like a chat GPT version, where riders can ask questions. They can have a chat, but they will get a lot of my information, my words, my philosophies, the things we've just spent the hour talking about.
Yeah.
The GPT will answer and respond in those ways. So when a rider says, I've had a really bad ride today and I'm really frustrated and I just don't know what to do now, it won't give you a riding lesson on how to train your horse better, but it will say to you, hey, thank you for being so honest. Let's just take a breath out together for a moment. Let me ask you a couple of questions looking back at the ride you've just had. Where was your breath? What was going through your mind? What is it that your horse was telling you?
Yeah.
Let me help you to just take a moment, take a breath out now, because I know that you can ride.
Yeah.
So, it will help to get us out of our heads. It will remind us to breathe out. It will be kind of, obviously, a separated version of listening to our story or the rider's story and then replay it to the rider in different words. So that is something that I basically wanted to create a tool that is easy for every rider to access. That's cheap, that's available, that is a constant wherever they are 24 hours a day.
Wow.
And we're going to roll that out fairly shortly. We're in the final stages of putting it together. So that's something I'm super excited. The other part, for the riders who want more one-on-one, who want more hands-on and in a more intensive kind of let's get into some of these things and deal with it. My 12-week course, the roadmap to dressage, mindset, success. We've had, we're in the second cohort now. We've had amazing feedback. It's a small community. I only take around 10 riders, sometimes 15, but no more. And it's very one-on-one, hands-on, personal. I'm available. We do one-on-one sessions. We have sort of a workbook, a 12-week exercises that we work through. Riders can do that in their own time and they can contact me and, we do individual work. Wow. So those are the two main things that I'm getting into it now because the mindset is just so important.
Well, yes. Yes, that's for sure. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll put all your details in the show notes, like your website and where people can contact you. So that sounds really good, Tanja. Well, thank you so much for all your good information and knowledge. It's so helpful.
Thank you for having this platform, to get together to talk about it. It's always a pleasure. It's always great.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let's say goodbye to everyone, and we'll see them next time. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I hope you really enjoyed it and found lots of wisdom and inspiration to take with you. If you enjoyed this conversation, please remember to like and subscribe below. That will help these conversations reach other equestrians like you. Thank you. Until next time, ride the way you want to live.